What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kage Force here. Today's lore video is actually gonna be a little bit different, seeing how you guys can see me. Hello, hi. The lore videos will be on King's Fall Cell, where we'll be doing Golgoroth, but we'll also be doing the two sisters, your Anuk and your Halak, which are the daughters of Crota. I hope you guys enjoyed this latest Destiny 2 video, and let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Here it is. Golgoroth was an extremely rare type of hive ogre. He basically was made from the worm gods to try and devour Oryx before Oryx can gain more power, and Oryx found a way around this and still was able to control him. Golgoroth lore, his Grimoire cord reads: "Speak to the heart with burrowing things. The burrowing things will strengthen the heart. You, Oversoul, you teach the new flesh out of the old. Zol issued you to eat us. The new flesh will be testament. O ear, decree the shape of this new thing. Judge its testaments to the last truth. This new shape is Golgoroth." So when the worm gods made Golgoroth, like I said, they tried to make him to eat Oryx, but Oryx found a way around this and put his tablet of ruin that he had into Golgoroth and kind of made Golgoroth part of the final shape that Crota had. In this Grimoire, it reads: "Oryx cut the shapes into a tablet, but he guarded the shapes. He set the tablet in Golgoroth, where the new flesh grew as Eo decreed it." So the worm god's plans backfired, and Oryx was still able to have Golgoroth under his control and gave him a tablet, which made him extremely powerful, because he had not only the power of an ogre, he had the power of the tablet of ruin inside of him, which is pretty insane. The funny thing about Golgoroth, other than him being like just as big ogre with the tablet and the power to deep in him, Crota tried to take control of him, quote unquote, to help his father with tribute. In the Grimoire, it reads: "Crota rose to petition, 'Father, cut the shapes into a tablet. Give me the tablet. I will bear it in battle and tether one side of my sword to you.'" So Crota tried to be slick and take Golgoroth for himself to gain more power for himself. But that's when Oryx is like, "Nope, we're not doing that. We're just going to put we're going to put the tablet into Golgoroth, and I'll keep him for myself." I find it extremely interesting for Golgoroth because he doesn't have a lot of Grimoire in the actual cards, but it's very interesting that the worm gods even took it upon themselves to try and create their own type of hive to combat Oryx, so he cannot get as strong, because ultimately the worm gods were still the gods of the hive, and Oryx was gaining more power by this point, and they didn't want that anymore. So they tried to do what they could to get rid of him, but it backfired completely, and they left Oryx with a nice big buggy ogre hive that was very annoying in the raid. Now, what I find interesting in the Golgoroth encounter in the raid, when you guys first started, you see a pool above him, and you have to shoot that down, and it pours into the little gooky stuff on the bottom. So what's actually happening is you're taking that hive larvae, what he's in up there in that orb, and we're breaking it. What happens is that when that comes down and crashes into the Guk, it actually gives form to Golgoroth. Because technically Golgoroth could change his shape because he is part of the final shape because of the tablet of ruins that Oryx has. So when we drop that orb in there and Golgoroth comes out, we're literally giving birth to him to rise and fight us in combat. And if that's not really cool, then I don't know what is, because we don't have a lot of enemies that actually can like change their shape like Golgoroth can, because of how powerful he actually is. But we don't see this in the actual raid itself. He is strong. Anyone that has done the raid, you guys know the encounter. So he's pretty strong, but that lore behind him makes him even more strong, that he actually is getting formed. The final shape is actually shaping him into this massive Golgoroth ogre. If you guys remember in the first Court of Oryx lore I was talking about how ogres are actually tortured. They are actually thralls that are tortured and undergo these rituals from the wizards to become this massive beast. So they have a lot of rage and anger inside of them, and that's why they're so aggressive when we fight them. So they're tormented souls basically that Oryx controls to, you know, do his bidding and become these big war tanks for him, which is kind of sad. At the same time, Golgoroth did have that done to him, not really like done to him to where he couldn't be like a special hive, because his lore of how he came up to be was a lot different. He was still tortured, and which is why he's still an ogre, but this is the only ogre we know in all the Grimoire that actually rose from the worm gods themselves, physically made by the worm gods themselves, plus the deep. So I think Golgoroth probably has the most interesting kind of lore, only because he's the only one that didn't have a traditional bringing up like all other ogres, and I think that's pretty cool. Now that we're done with the Golgoroth lore, we're going to move on to the Deathsinger sisters, the twins themselves, Halak and Anuk, which are also the daughters of Crota, which actually have a cool story of how they were born. This worm that Oryx had, it was a weak worm, so he split it in two. He cut it right down the middle, split it in two, and the daughters were born from that and rose to power because they were so immensely strong from this little weak larvae when they were split, which is pretty cool. So we're going to start with the Halak Deathsinger Grimoire card, which reads, Oryx was dividing the spawn. He cut apart the larvae with his sword, and the two divided pieces grew into twins. She who stands ahead in the prow of the ship of Oryx, her father. She is Halak, the Unraveler. She piles her blades upon the fabric of space, cuts the seams, pulls apart the cloth, leaves worlds in tather. Anuk's Grimoire card, which reads, Behind the Unraveler comes Anuk, the Weaver. She takes in hand the threads of her sister's work, weaves them into the tapestry of Oryx's realm. Listen, Anuk, who favors bitter things. Of the 11 Axions, choose one. Of the chosen, spare none. Upon ear's attendants, say, Come ear. Look, this truth is dead. These are the two sisters you guys fight at the end of the raid, right before you get to Oryx. This is their last line of defense. Their lore is pretty interesting because the last lore video we went over the totems, which are the annihilation totems. That's very prominent because Anuk and Halak are the creators of the totems. They made these totems to combat the Vex when they were entering the Hive world, and this was their best defense against them. What's also cool about the two sisters here is that they were actually the creators of the Oversoul. If you guys ever did D1 raid, Crota's End, when you get to Crota, that big orb in the back you see is his Oversoul, with Oryx actually looking through that, which is pretty damn cool. So basically Oryx is watching us kill Crota through this orb, right? So that's how he saw everything that happened. Now when you play the King Soul raid in D2, you also will remember that there is, during the War Priest encounter, there's a big orb that stands above him. That is actually his Oversoul. He learned to make his Oversoul from watching Crota, which Crota learned from watching the two sisters make theirs. So their encounter is actually pretty interesting because of that, and their lore is actually very immense. They are extremely powerful Hive, making two of the strongest defenses against any race in the universe, being the Oversoul and the totems. Something else cool, if you actually played like D2 when it was still new, there was a mission where Crota's having his funeral and Anuk actually are there during that mission. Those are the two Deathsingers you see. So that's actually our first time seeing them in Destiny 2 before the Kingsfall raid made its reprisal. I'm not sure everyone here that's watching this video right now would honestly notice that or seen that because you might have been too late to see it. But yeah, if you guys, so anyone that has seen that, these are the two Deathsingers you see during that mission where Erismoran has to pull you out at the end, which is crazy, right? With that being said about the lore, about these three very powerful Hive, we'll do a quick recap. Golgoroth was created by two of the worm gods to try and combat Oryx and to eat him. Oryx was too smart for this and too powerful. He put his tablets of ruin that he got from killing the worm god Akka inside of Golgoroth, which made him part of the final shape and the deep itself. So when we're fighting him in his encounter and we break his orb up top, we're releasing his kind of soul that he has into the Guk, which is the deep, and arises him out of it, basically giving him the final shape that he was meant to have. The daughters, Halak and Anuk, were, of course, the creators of the annihilation totems that we see in the Kingsfall raid to combat the Vex when they entered the Hive world and tried to make battle with the Hive. They were also the creators of the Oversoul, which we see above Crota, the super big one. It's green. And the one that we see in the War Priest encounter in the Kingsfall raid, who is also both Crota and the War Priest learned from making it from the sisters. And that's going to conclude our raid lore for these three extremely powerful Hive. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Our next video will be on the king himself, the big daddy, Oryx daddy, Daddy Oryx, whatever you want to call him. Nah, but really the Oryx, the Taken King. It will be probably our most intense lore video we make because he has a lot of lore in the whole entire Destiny world. So with that being said, I do appreciate you guys coming out to this lore video. video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did not, please let me know in the comment. If you guys did, please let me know. Comments are everything. I'm trying to grow our channel here on YouTube. If you guys wanted to see lore on any other type of people, places, bosses, gods, whatever you want to see in Destiny, please link it in the comment below. I would love to take a look at those. And so I love you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic night, day, evening, wherever you're at. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, y'all.